Hi everyone, my name is Monique Jacobo and this is my video. I learned about my racial identity when I was about 4 years old. We were living in West Virginia due to my dad working for a traveling business out there. And so we were living there, and I never really thought about anything into it until this moment where we're in the store. And I vividly remember the clerk asking one of the workers there, a younger boy, probably in high school, honestly, it's probably one of his first jobs. He was probably 16, no older than 20, to follow us around. And I remember my mom specifically saying, "Please take Monique outside." And I remember seeing my mom had a furious face, and I didn't understand why. I didn't understand why she was mad. I honestly didn't know what was even happening or why we were leaving. We just got to this grocery store. And within that, after the fact, now looking back, I realized that's when I first experienced any kind of racism or my own racial identity, because we were living in a predominantly white area and we were Hispanic. And on the East Coast, and this time there was not that, there was a lot of people. Obviously, we have our African Americans, we have different kind of Hispanics, not just Mexicans, but different kind of Hispanics. But they're very spread out, right? So there's not very many, and we're living in a town. So at this time, I did not understand what this meant. And I just remember my mom yelling at this lady, "How dare you kick us out," or walking around like we're gonna steal something. And the lady told her she didn't leave, she was gonna call the cops. Was it traumatizing? A little bit, because I've never seen my mom get this mad over something where we're at a store, as a 4-year-old. You don't really know. We're still trying to figure out what things are, right? So at this time, I didn't understand what this meant. And now, as an adult, I really, I think we were in denial. I'm going to speak for myself, as racism, as I would expect as I've gone older, as our society continues to become more diverse, we'll become to see less of racism and oppression amongst communities and different kind of people. And that is not the case, especially within social work. And a lot of us work in, community health centers or state programs or behavioral health programs, and we all have seen or have experienced some kind of racism. And it's really saddening to me, especially in today's world where, as diverse as we are, we're really not, and our population still experiences this kind of racism. And I really feel it also depends where we're at. I live in Tucson, Arizona. There's a lot of Hispanics, but where I live in Marana, Arizona. So on this side, there's not as many Hispanics. There's more whites in this area. And I've also experienced institutional racism with my son. I have a 7-year-old who is white. He looks white. Well, he's Hispanic as well, right? But he is light skin, blue eyes. I actually look at people, my family jokes with me and says that I'm the adopted one, because he looks more like my dad has blue eyes. I'm the dark one. His dad has blue eyes. And, I was at a doctor's office. I even think I posted about this in one of our discussions, where I'm at the doctor's office and I was maybe in a sweater like this, some leggings, some shoes or Vans, and my son was dressed up, and I wasn't getting attended how I should, right? And I felt it was just inappropriate how I was getting treated during this visit. And I feel, when you're getting stared at weird, or we're getting treated differently. I catch on to things like that. And I just did not like how I felt. And I'm like, what is going on? Is it because and then I got asked "Oh, are you mom?" And in that moment too, I'm like, wait, is this I've been coming to this doctor since my son was born. I've been his, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's mine, And so at this time, and it was just really, I'm I don't know if she was new. I don't really pay attention to stuff like that unless it's like the doctor, you know. So it was just one of those things. Like even as an adult, I got to experience something like that again, and I was kind of taken back of like, how do we stop this from happening? How do we begin to think about like not this superficial outside of the box thing? Like they're we're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, right? And like people continue to treat people the way we look, or because I'm dressed in some type of way, maybe you think I'm an unfit mother, but my kiddo is dressed nicely, you know? And mind you, if you're a single parent, you know, we're tired all the time. We work all the time. So there's something we need to do to combat that. There has to be something, like as a population, as a society, as it progresses and as we become more diverse, I feel as socials and we keep fighting for things like that, I think it's important to continue to do so, because we can begin to see change and to kind of see how institutions are now treating people, their employees or their clients or patients or whatever it is, because people need to be aware, even with like cultural competency and things like that, like we need to be mindful of what a person is going through or what they believe in or don't believe in, and not really put our biases in it, you know, especially because of how our society is moving forward. I personally feel within Erickson's, I would like to say when I've understood what racism was more in like adulthood, especially now when I experienced that thing with my son when he was little, or younger. He's still little, but I mean, yes, I was offended, but I also was disappointed to see that like I'm getting treated this way. Like that's crazy. Is it because I'm on this side of town? And it ultimately is because I'm brown and my son is white. Like he is, if I could plop a picture right here, you would see that we look nothing like, you would say we have the same facial features, but it was just interesting to me that I was getting treated a certain way because we didn't look the same. And it really, made me mad. But at the same time, I understand people are not everyone studies social work. Not everyone is aware of the social policies and social issues that are actually really happening until it's brought up in the news. And like, that's a lot of way people understand what's going on, which shouldn't be its only way. Not a lot of people, now there's like the cultural competency courses for like doctors and other medical stuff. And so that these kind of things stop happening or kind of reduce from happening. And with Erickson's stages of development, I feel I've experienced it where I understood. I've experienced it in my early childhood, but I didn't understand, right? Because during that stage, we're really confused. We don't really understand. We can't connect the dots to understand. We can, but not to this point where now as an adult, where I understood what was really happening. One of the articles that I read, Kowalski, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, that article immediately starts off with racial disparities in the United States remain persistent. I feel that's completely accurate. I read that and I'm like, absolutely, because it continues to, although there's, like they mentioned in the beginning, there's advances in reducing these disparities and these racial disparities, but it still happens. And for me, I feel it's our duty and our job to kind of help reduce that and kind of educate people what is okay and is not okay. You don't treat somebody differently. Like, for example, myself and my son, if you see us, don't automatically think I'm the nanny. A person's gonna get offended or sad or, feel something, or they're gonna tell you something straight honestly. I'm surprised I didn't. I held it together really well, but I also was an older adult. So I'm not gonna just flip out on somebody, honestly. I could have, but that's not who I am. But somebody might. And I think as social workers moving forward, it's our jobs and to do our part in educating people and really sticking up and advocating for these people who are experiencing these things or who do go to a doctor and, they get treated this certain way, because it's not okay. And I think when people outside of our own race feel that they're being supported by somebody outside of their own race, I feel not that it's more valuable, but like they feel heard, and I think that's really important. So that is my video. I think I went over time, but thank you everyone for watching.